Hello, what have we here?
You're wrong.
Damn!
What the hell was that?
Game over, man. Game over.
You're wrong.
You finished?
Well, I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to this crazy little thing we call the Week in Geek. The spin-off that you never knew you needed, but it's here anyways. This is where we go through all the various detritus, debris, and bits of random geekery from the interwebs, wrangle it all together into the free-range idiocy corral, and then proceed to fillet and grill it up for you one topic at a time. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the lead editor and chief bottle washer of the Week in Geek. I give you the man they call Tim.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money. 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 Money?
Okay, we gotta stop. We gotta stop, because that's the entire song.
I gotta keep going. Well, no.
Oh, God.
Ching, ching.
Oh, God. I'm so glad I didn't take a drink.
Cut the chatter. You ain't talking money. When you're talking don't matter. Ching, ching. Bling, bling. Patent pockets. You make the dollar. Can't damn soul stop it. Shock it. Oh.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. It's what's written on the page. I'm just reading it. Greetings and salutations, my friend. How are you doing? And that is, for those who don't know, here comes the money.
Chef's kiss, sir.
Shane McMahon.
Oh, my gosh. I am so enjoying your Christopher Walken era. It's great. It's
How was that? Did I sound close to the man? Or...
You know, well, the thing is, like, you're not trying to go like the full Kevin Pollak, like actually.
Yeah.
Because I think Kevin Pollak, he's parodying, kind of caricaturing it, but he's also very close. You're going for this other area where it's like you're not even really trying to be close, and in a way, it's bringing you closer. In a weird sort of way, like it's because you're not trying, it's working, and I'm so here for it every single second.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This also reminds me. So, Kaylin and I were our roving correspondent. Kaylin we were out doing some of her driving time to get her license, and a Shakira song came on.
Okay,
and as we're listening, because Shakira has that weird thing in her voice where. This part of her range, because everybody, and I'm really not trying to make fun of Shakira because she is extraordinarily talented, but she has that one area where when she's singing, it'll be like it's kind of like da, 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 and then she it just like she shifts in this area and it comes out stronger.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. Like I've seen people comparing Shakira to a mountain goat in some time, like her singing, and I'm like, I get it now. It's like whatever. I'm like, I was like, I get it now, because between that and the vibrato, I'm like, aha. So, and for like the last 5 minutes we were driving, I'm just singing along, like, and yeah.
Good Lord.
So let's just say your Christopher Walken is so much better than my Shakira.
Thank you. Well, I will continue to try perfecting it. So,
all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, our second episode of the Week in Geek. Welcome to Week in Geek Wednesday. And it appears that we have a whole bunch of articles here. The man they call Tim, however, because of familial. Well, I mean, that's still a lot for us. That's like an hour and a half. Because of familial obligations, he was not able to watch Monday Night Raw. However, I did watch Monday Night Raw in its entirety. I almost made it all the way through last night, and I thought they were going to the main event, and there was like a half hour, 40 minutes left, and I'm like, I gotta peace out because I'm gonna fall asleep if I keep going. Turns out I missed. It was just before AJ Styles and Logan Paul came in, so it was actually a great break point. I have some cheers and jeers, and you saw the first segment via interwebs video. So
yes.
Shall we run those down first?
Yes, please walk us through.
Well, first of all, I'm going to give a cheer for the opening Cody Cena segment. I got to admit, when I heard Cena's music, I was like, oh dear God, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
And then having Cody like come out right away was actually nice, and really felt like, this upped the ante, and it actually furthered my interest in it. And helped to explain a little bit of Cena's motivation as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like it actually did a fairly good job of that. And I normally don't do back-to-back cheers, but this one really goes into it. A cheer for this line in particular: John, you're still my hero, but you're also a piece of shit. I love cussing Cody. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It makes me giggle a little bit and also clutch my pearls, my non-existent pearls.
It goes back to what Uncle Corny said.
Yeah.
The best baby faces express what the crowd wants to say, and the crowd is not happy with Cena right now. And so he is speaking truth to power for the people. And
what do you think
people.
What do you think of the new lyrics to John Cena's entrance music? John Cena sucks.
Oh yes,
John Cena sucks. I am so loving that. That is like my new favorite thing.
Not to be outdone by Cody Rhodes, or something like that.
They do that for everybody, because then they did it for Roman Reigns on Friday, and I think they did it for someone else too.
John
but I mean,
Cena
it's so great, so great.
I mean, it's right up there with the Kurt Angle. You suck.
Yes.
You suck. I mean, it's right there.
I love the fact that they did it even after he was kind of a baby face.
Yeah.
And like they still do it now anytime he comes out, and he's smiling because he's like, they remember me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'll actually do another a cheer here. Cheer for the London crowd, man. Hot crowd. I will say that it's a little, maybe a mini jeer contained within the cheer. It feels a little bit like it's almost a less genuine reaction and more like sing along with the WWE stars, like, because they're willing to chant at a drop of a hat. But still, it's a lot of fun. Really good crowd. My first jeer would be, it's nice to talk him into the building, as Jim Cornette and the old timers say. But man, this whole thing where WWE is relying on part-timers for the bulk of its main event feuds is really tough, because it gets lame having no actual physical confrontations to further the angles. Like at a certain point, like, it's still professional wrestling. Yes, for every single angle, there has to be a certain amount of talky to further the point. However, there also needs to be some punchy, suplexy, like some kind of physical action, but it makes it tough because Roman Reigns is a part-timer. John Cena is definitely a part-timer. The Rock only like helicopters in when he fracking feels like it. And so you're left with these angles that have to coexist with, only these partial appearances, and guys who, especially in Cena's case, like, I'm sure in a way, like, he's kind of saving himself. Like, he knows his bump card is almost full, but it still kind of sucks, man. Like, it makes it difficult. I will say, though, Cena's a lot more up for this task than I really thought he was going to be, in terms of being able to sell this angle just on talking. Like, it's working. I'm kind of wondering how the next couple weeks are going to go.
Yeah.
But so far, and we actually did get some physicality. We did get some physicality out of that finally, which is good. And actually, that's my next cheer is cheers to Cena selling Crossroads as if it hasn't taken like 3 in a row of those to put anyone else away in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the fact that, because that is the biggest thing. I've one of the biggest things I think that Cody has going against him is that his finisher has been so devalued. That it show, like, people have kicked out of it so many times, and kicked out of it when he's done it
next episode
multiple times. Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that on Friday. Anything, because you actually did see this segment. Any of your thoughts on this one, sir?
I think once again we see the wheat separated from the chaff, and what I mean by this is we see the differences between WWE and AEW, and the reason I draw that comparison is to see two guys go at it verbally and try to lay into each other with some reality layered in, to kind of give the story a little juice. I think they both hit the right notes. I didn't think they overdid it. I thought it was, I had totally forgotten about the whole, fans chanting that Cena can't wrestle and all this
Yes.
sort of thing. And
him
Cody
selling
pulling
that like it was the worst thing
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. So I absolutely loved it. I thought it was, exactly what they needed to do at this point to level things up and keep interest in the feud. And, we've been hearing from Cena the last 2 weeks, talk, and then Cody kind of coming in toward the end. And so this exchange was I think the next necessary step. And I think, the content of it was really well done, with Cena laying in some good verbal haymakers as well as Cody. And so just showing that they can go toe to toe. I absolutely loved how Cody started off, because that's the thing Cena was known for a long time, was just the way he could always outclass someone on the microphone. And he always, whether it was, like, I'd like to think it's a lot of his wit and not so much that he, they rehearsed or knew in advance what they were going to say. From interviews he's done, it sounds like, a lot of the raps that he would come out to, or the way that he would dress down his opponents were a lot of times on the fly. And so,
well, the fact that like he kind of got his break, that whole Doctor of Thugonomics thing, as like he was freestyling. And I know that, like, I'm guessing that a lot of guys who are out there freestyling, like they've got some lines in their bag and they can pull them out, and they've got some things that they can vamp on. But still, dude, you got to be quick on your feet.
Yeah,
you've got to be. And I don't have that. I couldn't go out there and do something like that. Like, I can kind of talk extra extemporaneously here, except when I can't. But in terms of like getting into a promo battle, I don't know that I could do that. I definitely know I couldn't freestyle rap for damn sure. So John Cena's got that over my dumbass for sure. But yeah, no, I think he's very quick on his feet, very quick-witted, and is obviously listening too. Like, he is obviously a really good listener, because that is one of the things that in these last couple of weeks we've seen, just the way he has lured in the crowd and worked with what they're giving him and the pauses that he's taken. So good. Yeah.
And I think Cody, spoke very well and made some really good points. And so just overall, I think it helped ratchet up the animosity between the two of them. The line you quoted from Cody to John about being a hero and being a piece of bleep, was what, the crowd needed to hear. And I think what the crowd feels towards Cena still right now. And so, I think they're doing a nice job of maintaining the heat heading into WrestleMania, which is still a couple weeks away. But
19 days as of yesterday.
I don't know if we covered this last time, but by the way, who made the decision to do WrestleMania weekend on the Easter weekend? Like, that's just like the dumbest timing.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Rock insisted on it so that he can walk out of a tomb after, someone's rolled the stone away. Like, oh my gosh.
My goodness.
That is that kind of like the thing about The Rock right now that is annoying to me, because I'm not buying him as necessarily like the character of the final boss. I'm buying him as like Dwayne Johnson on a power trip.
Yeah.
And that he can kind of just drop in wherever he wants and say whatever he wants, and nobody can really do anything about it. And everybody afterwards like, okay, now we got to clean up the mess of Dwayne being out there for 25 minutes and not really saying anything or saying everything, Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do you got? Because that's all I saw, and I don't really have any jeers for that. So it's one big cheer for me for the Cena Cody Rhodes back and forth.
I've got a cheer for welcome back Tyler Bates, the big strong boy, back in business. Teaming back up with Pete Dunne for the New Catch Republic. Welcome back to those two. A very entertaining, very talented team. A jeer for, unfortunately, Tyler was jobbed out in his hometown to a faction with little to no direction. Will probably be in an unemployment line with that Giovanni guy from Imperium within the next month. I don't understand this. I don't get it. Like, I just really don't like I get trying to maybe do something with the Judgment Day, but why are you doing it at the expense of a tag team that people kind of liked? And especially in an area where like these guys are literally, you know, wrestling legends to a crowd like this. Why don't you put them over here? Why, you know, put them in another match, do something to put them over, because you need tag teams.
Yeah.
I get that you don't have any good heel tag teams, as we saw from like, you know, the continued push of the New Day and their shenanigans, but like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Actually, wait, it was the New Day. I'm sorry. It was I'm thinking of the Judgment Day, but yeah, New Day, same thing. Another faction. Like, there's no direction. It's just like, well, we need heel tags. So there we go. I got my matches mixed up. Hopefully that's not the case, because I thought these guys were really good together, even with the rust of like Bates being gone for like 9 months now. Coming back, like, looked good. Like, yeah, there's a little off timing, but I mean, nothing that, you know, a couple months on the road is not going to fix, and it'd be right back. So just a little disappointed there. A cheer here for you know, the War Raiders getting a free day in catering just to come out and stand with their belts, I guess. So I mean, good for them. I bet they did some damage on the buffet. That was nice. Let's see here. Let's do a cheer for Gunther's brutality against Jimmy, and finally getting some friggin' heat and oomph in this story. I mean, Jimmy was bleeding like a fracking stuck pig.
I did see a little bit of that on YouTube. So
I think he gigged
comment.
himself a little too deep.
Ah. Okay.
That's what I think, because
All right.
when he came up, like, it was literally globs of blood on the apron and on the mat, and I'm like, okay, I don't think they quite intended for that much color.
Yeah.
And then Gunther like taking it and actually rubbing the blood on his body. I'm like, now we're just getting gross, but okay. The problem I think here is that Gunther is like the one character that I didn't need to have more personality from. He was much more intimidating when he spoke less and was just an efficient, just destroyer of talent. And the fact that we've kind of gotten the haha Gunther, oh, he's smiling. I'm like, no, I actually don't need that from this character.
Yeah.
Like, just let him be Ivan Drago. I think that's the thing they need more than anything. This kind of actually did something. Jeer though to needing. I mean, and they had to. I admit this is a necessity, but Jay Uso's music playing for what was obviously supposed to be an unplanned run into the ring, because basically that's the only way to guarantee that you get the max pop for this guy, because that is like 50% of his pop right now is his music, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks that a guy that you're calling main event is so over, mostly because of his theme song.
I just want to say that the fact that he is no longer starting Raw is directly related to words that came out of my mouth on this show when I said, how do you call him main event? When he's jerking the curtain.
And he's not even going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Like, literally, one of the men's world titles is not going to be a main event.
Yeah.
Because you have a match with 3 other guys that is far more interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like the 2 main events. I don't know which night they're going to happen, but it sounds like we're going to have Cody versus Cena close out one of those nights.
That's night 2. It's got to be. The first night has got to be the triple threat.
You think it's going to be Punk, Reigns, and Rollins?
Because Cena Cody is the one match that can trump that. And I get it, because I have a feeling.
I think your tribal chief would disagree, but
maybe. But then again, I mean, the other thing is, I think there's going to be there could be shenanigans, if you will.
Oh, there will be shenanigans. There will be.
And if we have breaking glass, that's got to be night 2.
Yeah.
So, let's see what else we have here. Cheer for Braun Breaker's double suplex. That was pretty cool. Let's see here. Let's go with a jeer for more talky talk with AJ Styles and Logan Paul. That was a lot of talking. Some decent heel work by Logan Paul, but Yeah, it was a lot of talky. At least we got a good little scuffle at the end. So I mean that is kind of good. Big cheer here for the main event of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky with Bianca Belair as the special guest referee, looking absolutely terrified of being the. I've never seen a referee that terrified this side of what was it, Dave Hebner, the evil Hebner, who counted the 3 for Andrea or something and it ran out of the building or whatever that was, the evil Hebner twin. I've never seen, or actually the Montreal Screwjob, wasn't that Hebner as well?
That was Hebner.
Yeah, and him running out of the ring. I've never seen anyone, a referee, be as scared without that situation as Bianca Belair was here. The match was really choppy. There was a lot of kind of off timing. There was a couple of moves that could have gone really wrong. But it's a good example of how like 2 pros can make chicken salad out of chicken shit, because they had the crowd going, even though there was a lot of times when it was like a hair away from a botch that could have hurt somebody. But it's also a great example of how to move an angle along using in-ring action instead of actually just talking about it, talking. As it looks like we're going to head for a triple threat for the women's title, and this ought to be a really entertaining match. Because it was supposed to be like, oh, well, this is going to settle the thing between Rhea and Io, and of course it doesn't, because we get the double DQ. So we've got to be heading towards a triple threat, right? Because
oh yeah,
that's where we're heading. But they actually did it in a way with the match and Bianca as the guest referee that now it's like, okay, we've got some more juice. Like there's another chapter in this thing instead of like we're in some kind of holding pattern, like Gunter and Jay until this past week. But yeah, that's all I got for Raw. It was a hell of a show. I'll give them that. For what it was, great crowd, good show. Why not? Yeah,
nice.
It's good
stuff. Very nice. Well, thank you for being our roving wrestling reporter. I'm a little bit, Jay, if you will, a little jelly. I feel like you're earning your wrestling cred, and I'm losing some wrestling cred.
Well, this is what it feels like when somebody takes over the beginning of the show.
Really? Interesting.
Pretty soon, Raw Cheers and Jeers is going to be about 60%
in
of the
about
week
2 years from now, folks. We're going to spin off another show. We're going to have 3 shows, and one of them is going to be Uncle Todd's Wrestling Locker. I was down in Portland and took in another show from Limitless.
Well, actually, they're in Falmouth this month.
Are they? Okay.
And then I believe in May is when they're having their big show at the Westbrook Armory, which I still can't figure out where the frack the Westbrook
I went to Ossipee, New Hampshire.
That might be next.
To the Armory.
Could very well be next. All right. So what do we got here for Detrius and various cultural items here?
What is with you with the Detrius? Did you pick something up this weekend with the college visits?
It's more detritus, I think, is how I like Detrius better.
Say it right. It's detritus.
Detritus.
It's detritus.
Sounds like something you need a cream for.
Excuse me while I deal with my detritus.
I'm sorry, I can't come into work today. My detritus is acting up. I've got a rash in a place that I can't talk about. Needless to say, I can't sit for long periods of time.
Oh my God. Anyways.
Nor use the bathroom without going,
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, I am there's a different title for this article, but I am entitling it from our friends at Variety. Holy casting Batman or Iron Man or Dr. Doom. The cast of Doomsday has been announced. So I don't know if you picked up on this or caught this last week, but apparently there was a 5-hour long shtick that was going on YouTube where every so often they would flash up another picture of a casting chair with someone else's name on it.
Mm-hmm. I just saw the video where they trail down the whole line.
Yeah, that's the video.
But it did take forever.
I did see the live stream that was going on YouTube, and it was very strange because I could not hear any audio. Like it was just it looked like a still, and so I went and kind of rewound as you can on the live stream just to see if there was some talking or some sound, and it wasn't. It was nothing. It was at points you could hear a little, like I heard a little bit of sound. I don't know if something was screwed up with my phone or whatever, but anyways, it was very strange. But they finally just released the full like video where it kind of goes down the line, and yeah, it's an impressive lineup. But I think the probably the biggest surprise was the fact that we are not just getting one or two of the OG old school X-Men. We're getting a whole bunch of them. We're getting Kelsey Grammer's Beast. We're getting Patrick Stewart as Professor X. We are getting Ian McKellen as Magneto. We're getting Alan Cummings as Nightcrawler.
Oh, that's right.
We're getting who played Cyclops? Help me out. I forget his name already.
I do too. I don't.
James Marsden.
Okay.
As Cyclops. So we are getting a sizable group from the old school, and so
I was actually hoping for the new timeline.
Really,
I really thought that that Fassbender and McAvoy were excellent as Magneto and Charles.
Yeah,
I really dug them a lot, but yeah.
We will see.
And Rebecca Romijn, don't remember.
Oh, and Rebecca Romijn as well as Mystique. So that was really an exciting announcement. And then, of course, some of the mainstays that we've been seeing in phases 4 and 5. So we got Bucky. We have the Thunderbolts. We have the Fantastic Four, who we have yet to see yet on screen. We will see them this summer. So yeah, just all in all, an impressive lineup.
And that's just who they're announcing, because they've got some people in the back pocket that they're like, and you ain't finding out about these, because we didn't see Benedict Wong listed there either.
We did not, nor did we see Benedict Cumberbatch, if I recall.
No, but Wong is going to make an appearance.
Yes,
he's kind of become the glue that's holding the Marvel universe together at this point, which is like, I'm okay with that.
I will say I did like when they were just doing the stills. I did come across Paul Rudd's casting chair, which was a diminutive chair next to the other ones because he's Ant-Man. But they didn't show that in the video. Like in the video, it was everyone had the same size chair. But when they were doing the stills, it was a significantly shrunken chair. It was funny. So what else on this one? Let's see. Chris Hemsworth. We talked about Anthony Mackie. Or we haven't talked about Anthony, but Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Danny Ramirez as the punching bag, Joaquin Torres. What else? Talked about Tom Hiddleston as Loki. So we talked about some rumors about Loki being a key part of all of this. So Loki will be there. We got Letitia Wright, who is now who's taken up the Black Panther mantle. So excited for her in that front. And then we talked about Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and of course we have Robert Downey Jr., who in the video is the last chair you see, who kind of does a very Tony Stark-esque sort of look at the screen like, here we go, baby, sort of thing. So just exciting to see this take another step toward reality and to a concrete move forward. So I'm excited for this. I'm excited for Avengers Doomsday. I will say when the family was out last week for when we went to see The Godfather, not that they showed the Fantastic Four. I don't think they showed the Fantastic Four, but I remember on the ride home talking with the kids about
in a way that would be fitting, because I mean,
yeah, I think so. They showed a number of. I just remember there was an obscene number of trailers before The Godfather, which I'm like, even The Godfather gets this treatment. Because sometimes when we go to see Casablanca, they just have like a little intro from some guy from I don't know if it's like IFC or like one of the movie channels who introduces classic movies. He'll have a little intro and then they just go right into the movie. There isn't a trailer. Not for The Godfather, but both kids are excited for Fantastic Four. They think it is. They're very intrigued by it. So that's exciting.
They're not the only ones.
Indeed. All right, so that's Avengers Doomsday. And any other thoughts on the casting, sir, and the announcement?
I'm all in.
You're all in.
I am all in. Except,
right.
I mean, I would love to have a little Fassbender, McAvoy action, but
who knows?
I wonder what the odds are. I mean, because we're gonna have to do a real or jabroni with some of this. Because I mean, are we gonna get Deadpool?
That's true. We didn't see Deadpool.
we going to get Wolverine?
Maybe
They might save Wolverine for Secret Wars.
Could be.
But apparently, apparently like the secret. So I saw something about Secret Wars, and the comic that is in Deadpool and Wolverine, that's in the Void, is an actual cover, and there's like, okay, well now it's some of the art that's come out and all this, like this is kind of the template they're using, which means that if this, then blah, 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 and I can't remember the whole thing, but when they were talking about it, I'm like, okay, I'm all in on this stuff. I mean,
yeah,
not like I wasn't before,
right.
Like they had to talk me into it, but
yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, our next story from ScreenRant.com, we're going to pivot from the MCU briefly over into the world of the Matrix, or as I have stated in our show outline, our quarterly Matrix article is upon us, this time stating that the Matrix 5 can settle a 22-year-old debate about Neo. Once again, I call into question how much of this topic was actually debated. But there is a scene. I will need to go through the article. I was not prepared.
Oh, shame.
Let me see.
Shame.
I know.
That's way deeper than Hannah Waddingham.
Let's see. Appears.
That's not how I sound.
Okay. So I remember what this article gets to. So it's talking about in Matrix. Is it Revolution? Yeah, it's Revolutions was the second one, right?
Yeah.
No, it's Matrix. Matrix Reloaded is the second one.
Yeah.
It's talking about the scene in Matrix Reloaded when Neo confronts the architect and sees basically all these different versions of himself. And, really the article is kind of revisiting.
Actually, that's the third one, isn't it?
Second one.
I thought he was.
No.
I think the architect was in the second one, is he?
He is.
Oh. Okay.
He's toward the end.
All right, sure.
It's when he finds out that he isn't the only one.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yeah.
And so the article is kind of, at first kind of restates the fact that, the architect is trying to, demonstrate to Neo that the one is just another system of control that's native to the Matrix, and that he doesn't have the freedom that he thinks that he has. And so, sorry, I really didn't prepare for this article. I read it on Sunday and I thought this sounded really cool. And now I'm trying to remember why I included this.
It's good to see we're running a real professional operation.
Me
here.
as I read the article. Let's see. We talk about Neo and Trinity. Talk about, let's see. Neo's status is the one garnered a lot of attention over the years. I know, sorry. It appears to me that Neo became the one when he died and came back to life in the first Matrix. But it isn't clear if he is the one. Let's see. Could explode switch very subtly. Nicely done whistling, by the way. Although the article says he is one. Almost there. Let's see.
Should I start dancing now?
I think so. If you could vamp a little more, that'd be great. Let's see.
What I love is the fact that we have quarterly articles about the Matrix, and then we used to have a yearly article about Battlestar Galactica reboot. I wonder if that's still going to become a thing. Like if that'll live on, like zombie Sam Esmail.
I almost feel like there's now a battle happening between this show's longevity versus is BSG ever going to get rebooted? And I think we're in the lead right now.
We're mortal enemies locked in forever combat.
Because this started when the show first started. We were talking about this back in season 1 of the show.
True.
Crazy.
And even though it has been ruled officially dead, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
It will come back.
Let's see.
Speaking of which, that's one thing we can tag on after our final article, if you'd like. That video I sent you about the Katie Sackhoff and Trisha Helfer talking about the.
Did you send that to me recently?
It was a while ago.
Oh yeah. I gotta be honest. I included this, and I'm really stumbling on what is this 22-year-old debate they're talking about.
Apparently, it's not much of a debate.
I mean, I think what they're trying to get to is that the Matrix 5 could explore potentially explore this idea that there were multiple versions of the one.
Okay.
And so Matrix 5 could expand upon this and maybe give it a little more context and explanation. But yeah,
to me that sounds like you're just it would be a story point of grasping at straws of like, well, we got to talk about something. We got to have an angle.
Yeah.
And it's one of those deals where it's like, dude, you didn't even make the second and third movie, let alone the fourth. You definitely don't need to get into the fifth. Like the Matrix would have been fine as a one-off.
Yeah.
And each time you make a movie, like I get the fourth one where it's almost like the Godfather 3 sort of thing. Like the studio's going to make it. They've got the rights. You might as well do it and make and see if you can shepherd it as best you can. But at this point, it's like, come on, dude. Like it's just not going to work out. It's just let it go. Let it go.
I think the debate is whether Neo is always the one in these prior iterations, or if he's simply the one in the version of the Matrix that we see, which is kind of this like seventh version.
You know, the thing is,
5 go back and explore that. But to me, I mean, I'm not excited about that. So
unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is somebody's going to be like, you know what it is? There's all these permutations. It's multiversal, because that's the fracking thing now. And we'll see like 1,000 versions of Neo, and one where he's like, you know, he's scooping poop of horses behind him in a parade or something. And it's like, yeah, this is freaking great. No one asked for this. Just
basically.
Anyways.
Basically. All right. Well,
I'm not bullish.
I apologize that I pulled this article, because I'm just kind of like, what the heck?
I have done worse on our show, sir. You're still well in the lead of being the lesser idiots.
So
2 idiots.
Really, folks, the takeaway here is look forward to Matrix 5. Could look into multiple Neos, and beyond that, we don't know much more. It's really kind of turning into our BSG story of the quarter. So, next article from also from ScreenRant.com. Hopefully, they've done a better job here. Russo brothers, New Avengers, Secret Wars. Comments have me being the author of this article, convinced the MCU is heading towards a reboot.
Ooh, okay.
And the idea here being that while the Russo brothers, let's see, well, they have not, or they have revealed. Let's see. They have revealed what kind of impact Avengers Secret Wars will have on the MCU.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to go get a drink while you just read through this and figure this thing out.
Sure, no problem. Is that what you are you really going to do that? Because I can't see you on the camera right now because I'm reading the article. So,
would you even notice?
Possibly.
I need to get one of those clip-on microphones, and I totally could. I could still do the show when I go to take a pee break.
Well, there you go. Well, but I don't want to hear what. Yeah, but we have to hear the other part of that pee break, which which wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be good.
Having a talk over the splash.
But Anthony and Joe Russo recently spoke. I wish I read.
I love how that's a little like grenade action. Like
Anthony and Joe Russo. This is what it says in the article. If you want to click on it and read, recently spoke to Omelette. Apparently, Omelette is some sort of publication or media source.
What freaking world do we live in now?
I don't know. And revealed more about Avengers Doomsday and
worst
Secret Wars.
timeline ever.
They suggested that while Avengers Endgame was an ending story for the MCU, Avengers Secret Wars would be a beginning story. And so this article goes on to postulate that if the idea of Avengers Secret Wars being a beginning is kind of the direction they're going in, would this set up then a potential reboot of the MCU as a whole? And what do you think of that idea of it being a reboot?
As far as like a complete reboot, I think it's absolutely fanboyish and will not happen, because there's way too much money invested in all of these movies to then go, none of it ever happened. None of it ever happened. Like it's just too much. I think that if anything, this could be, and even in this, I feel like it's getting into that fanboyish, oh, wouldn't it be cool if sort of territory that we talk about, where it's like, no, it's too cute, it's too much. It would never actually happen. It sounds fantastic until you actually have to execute the idea, and then everybody goes poops their pants and they're done. I think this could be a way for them to trim some of the more problematic areas of the MCU. Something like, for instance, I don't know, Kang. And also kind of correct some things by saying, oh yeah, that's, and like, oh, that's shunted off into this universe, and oh, that part got destroyed or whatever. And maybe that allows you to then create a new Kang that comes out later on, and ideally someone that isn't a complete turd burger as a human being is cast at that. I think that's about as far as you go, as far as being like, oh yeah, and everything is different now. It's totally like, I don't know that that's what you do. I think the farthest they go is that some areas are different, and those areas just so happen to be the least grossing at the box office areas. That would be my inclination. But even that, I feel, is a stretch, because then it can become one of those areas where you fix one problem and create three more. And for all of the missteps, there are some fairly bright people who do these things. And even though I do feel there's a lot of people in Hollywood who are dumb, they've gotten this far. Like, you can't be absolute galoots and just do this. So I mean, I'm guessing someone at some point in a creative meeting would go, hey, by the way, that thing that you're doing there, great idea. Do you realize that we're going to then have to fix these other 5 things if we do that? And maybe they'll find a way to fix those 5 things. I don't know. I think it's a partial reboot of certain areas. I don't think you're looking at a total reboot. What do you think, sir? What is your inclination on this?
Well, as I continue to go through the article,
there's more details that just completely crap on everything I just said, right?
No, it talks about how the Russo brothers have confirmed that Marvel Comics Secret Wars event from 2015 will inspire Avengers Secret Wars. And the author here mentions that comic ended with the Marvel continuity being altered, with the worlds of Earth 616 and Earth 1610 being combined into one new timeline featuring characters from both. And so the author here is saying that, that seems like a very interesting idea. It also brings up, as we talked about, that Secret Wars is expected to pay off teases of incursions destroying universes from previous multiverse saga projects, which means they're postulating that Earth 616 might be destroyed. And then this means a soft boot of the MCU, perhaps an entirely new universe, will be necessary. So that is kind of interesting. And then it gets into what sort of stories could be told. And as we talked about, with the involvement of the X-Men, maybe this is how, mutants get more integrated now into the MCU. Let's see. A soft reboot of the MCU and Avengers Secret Wars could mark the return of notable heroes and villains that weren't lucky enough to survive the MCU so far. And so they bring up, like, Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, T'Challa, Black Widow. Let me see. So I think what they're just saying is that Secret Wars creates the opportunity where some characters who have since passed on could get brought back. I don't know if I'm too crazy about that. It really kind of falls to the idea of what does a reboot mean? If a reboot means that, they're resetting, we're no longer going to have multiple universes. We're going to reset to one timeline, one universe. Like, I like the idea of maybe they take a couple universes and combine them, and that kind of explains how you get to a place of the mutants with, some of the new heroes. But I don't know that I'm interested in seeing a retelling of the Iron Man story or the Captain America story or Black Widow story. Like, those are characters who have had their run. They've played, they have their purpose. I mean, Captain America, who is now Sam Wilson, I'm not interested in seeing more Captain America of, Chris Evans's, version of it, because, let that stand on its own. That's where I think MCU is going to really fall, is if they really try to go a route of really rebooting, stories and characters that have already been told that people really enjoy, because it feels like it's retreading on old ground, and I think people want to see new and different stories as we move ahead.
I think the big difference is just it's the difference in it's the difference in the two medias.
Yeah.
Comics and movies. In comics, I think you can do this a little bit easier because, number one, I think the comics audience is a little bit more used to these continuities changing with writers, artists, all of that. Like, they're used to things looking different and sounding different and being different through the years because some of these characters have been around for decades.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an understood thing with comics that, yeah, every few years, something's going to change massively. But the problem there is, like, even when that character changes, it's not like movies where you now are recasting that character. It's not a human being in a comic book. Like, the character looks different, but it's still the character and all that. In the movie, you are now associating, OG Captain America with Chris Evans. You associate Tony Stark with Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
If you then are like, oh, and now there's a new Captain America, like, that is going to be different because what has made the MCU is the fact that they have appealed to a mass audience that are not 100% comic book fans. You have a lot of people going to these movies who, like, they might be vaguely aware of the characters, but it's not like they own the entire run of Iron Man. They don't own the entire run of the Fantastic Four from 1 to like 8,000 or whatever it's on now. And that's the other thing. Like, these books have, in some cases, died and then come back. So, it's not like you're just talking about, number 1 Fantastic Four back from the 1960s, and now it's the perfect continuity of where you're on, magazine 3000. It's like, no, you're on Fantastic Four like 300 now because they stopped it and then they renumbered it and then they changed, and like there was 3 Spider-Man books at one time, and they all had different continuity. So I mean, you have all these things that now it's like you're going to try to apply that to movies, and people aren't familiar with that. They're just like, I just know that this guy is Spider-Man, and they're like, well, it worked in No Way Home because they're like, oh, well, I remember this movie and this movie. Oh, isn't it great? They're all together. But it's not like then they're like used to like, oh, and now everything is different. Everyone's different. It's like, I think you're going to piss people off doing that because movies are different, and you have a lot of fans who that's not their jam, and they are not going to love it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think it ain't going to happen, but
you never know. I mean, it's I get why the article is kind of going the direction it is, and if the Russo brothers are really kind of using this as a way, if Endgame we end up finding out is what is the driver behind splintering from that single timeline into many timelines and the multiverse and Secret Wars. It's to bring it back to engineering. It's the multiplexer multiplexer situation where you have something that takes one signal and fans it out into multiple, right? And now you have something that takes multiple and fans it back down into one. And so maybe that's what Doomsday and Secret Wars is really about. Is now how do we take all of these tendrils that are out there and we bring them back down into a sane, single timeline and universe that we can move stories forward with, because that was where their storytelling was the most solid and concrete, was in phases 1 through 3, when we weren't dealing with time magic and universe magic. It was just, kind of linear, and we were more focused on kind of a linear story and where it was going. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. To see.
And the other thing that just occurred to me too is like a lot of this is centered around, and we talked about this with Star Wars, where they're like, oh, they're going to use these. Jon Favreau is going to use this to fix Star Wars. They're going to fix this the Postquel trilogy by doing this and this and this, and now they're going to fix the MCU. It's like, I hate to break this to people, I really, really do, but the fact is, the people who are greenlighting these movies don't think these movies need to be fixed as long as they're making money.
Right.
And guess what? all of these movies are making money. Even the ones where they're like, oh, it didn't gross that much. And this one, it still made money. Hollywood accounting won't show that it made money because that's the way it's set up. But they're making money. And as long as these movies continue to be like walking, talking ATM machines, there's no need to, they're like, why? What do you mean you fix it? What are you talking about fixing it? These still are grossing this and this grossing that. And we're making this much profit and that much profit. And the rights are here and we're doing this and making that and the ancillary and this and that and back end. As long as they're making money, there's nothing to be fixed. Yeah. And it's, at a certain point, it's going to be like, stop with your artsy fartsy, comic book stuff, geek. Go make us more money, nerd. That's the way it works. This whole fantasy of like, oh, the Russos are going to fix it. Like they'll fix it as much as like some executive is like, yes, you may do that with the property that we own.
Yeah.
And the Russos, seem like they're nice guys and creative cats, but they do not have a blank check with this.
Yeah.
Like somebody is still telling them yay and nay. So anyways, just wanted to fit that in there.
Well, we shall see. If I had to summarize this, I think we're lukewarm on this idea of a reboot, and it really kind of comes down to what is the after effect of it, and will it serve a solid story purpose or not? I'm just so thrilled that we were able to talk about an article, and I didn't have to read the entire damn thing.
Well, good for that.
But moving right along to our last story as we wrap up this session of the Week in Geek. Again, from our friends at ScreenRant.com, because no one
Has there been any that aren't from Screen Rant?
The first one was not. The first one was from Variety. So I
could have had a clean sweep if you just found one more.
Started highbrow and then went into the cellar. So
the cellar is like Murph's Multiverse.
Well, that's true too. That's true too. And I do need to make a round back to Murph's Multiverse just to keep the portfolio fresh.
Keep waiting for like Peggy's pontifications.
Well, it could happen. Apparently, there's a publication called The Omelet that Joe and Anthony Russo talked to. So, but this article from ScreenRant.com, Starbuck's return in Battlestar Galactica has a simple explanation, according to Katie Sackhoff.
Right on.
Something that I think Uncle Todd will get behind and support 1,000%.
Are you saying that because I'm completely in the bag for Katie Sackhoff, or just because it makes sense?
A little bit. Honestly, I feel at the end of the day that the line in Avengers Endgame, "I love you 3,000," that really was some taken from Uncle Todd's infatuation with the Katie Sackhoff.
It's not if. Oh my gosh, you're going to get me on a watch list someday. I admire the woman's work.
I know you do.
Like, I'm not stalking or anything.
No, I didn't mean to imply that. I simply meant to say...
you kind of were verging in that direction,
well,
sir.
You didn't seem to mind when I said you'd support it 1,000%. I was just taking it to the next logical place, which is...
Because I was setting you up for the bit.
I love you 3,000.
Goodness.
Well,
Holy hell.
It's a bit as well. All right. But... one of the areas of ambiguity when we talk about Battlestar Galactica from back in the day is who or what exactly was Starbuck toward the end of this series. We have what appears to be the shocking death of Starbuck a few episodes before the end of season 3. And then at the actual finale of season 3, we see the return of Starbuck. And we're left to kind of wonder why. How did that happen? We thought she was, destroyed. She comes back and kind of picks up in a way where she left off. Although there is something a little bit off about her. I wouldn't say it was 100%. That Starbuck was back. There was a lot of, I think the crew is very suspicious of her being a Cylon, because of what they've seen in their past. But according to Katie Sackhoff, who played Starbuck, her response to this, to a fan's comment on Instagram, explains that, quote, "She was a spirit brought to guide humanity to Earth and salvation," end quote. Mm-hmm. And the article does go on to, highlight that this does line up with a popular fan theory that Kara Thrace is in fact an angel, that she does come back, and the fact that she is around up until the very end when humanity is finally delivered to Earth. They have settled on Earth. There are no more, there is no more space pursuit. There is no more space exploration because of the fact that they've destroyed all of their technology and their ships. They are starting anew and rebooting in a way, if you will. See what I did there? But it does fit with that idea that she is a spirit or an angel of sorts, because once her purpose is fulfilled, as as Apollo is talking about what he's going to do now with his kind of new life, he turns around and she is no longer there and disappears. And so the idea being that she has fulfilled her purpose, she has returned from whence she came, and we leave our band of survivors to now tally forth and forage, if you will, through the world that they now are inhabiting. So, what are your thoughts on her on Katie Sackhoff's theory on this? Is Kara Thrace a Cylon? Is she an angel? Is she a spirit guide? How have you made sense of this, sir? In the 20 plus years since this show has aired.
Space magic. No, I think
Salud.
There is that idea of Leoben at one point, I believe, says you are the harbinger of death.
Mm-hmm.
And then the idea that she becomes this angel of light, like it kind of represents the two ends of the spectrum. There's a bit of redemption there. I mean, however you want to put it, I guess. But no, I in a way, like, it's the nice thing about sci-fi is there is a little bit of that leeway for ambiguity, because there's just a lot of stuff that is not explained. It's just looked at as like, oh, well, sci-fi. So it never really bothered me that much. Just kind of like it being a mystery, because there was so many things in that show that as you're watching it, and I mean, you can binge it now and you're like, oh yeah, well, this doesn't make sense. Well, when you're watching it like one episode a week, and you have that time in between, like you're almost just glad to be getting more episode, and there's things that are left hanging. You just kind of get used to the fact that thread's still hanging there, and I don't know if they're going to answer it or not. And they did that continually throughout the show. It's not like that was the one thing that they didn't necessarily explain or really go in depth on. There was a lot of things that, in terms of threads, it really didn't get tied up until the very end. And there was a handful of them that just didn't. And the show conditioned fans, or at least I felt it conditioned me to be accepting of that. Like, this is not going to explain every single little thing. And I kind of appreciated that, because there's a lot of that in life. Like, there's a lot of things in life that I don't understand. There's a lot of things in life that I've come to accept I am never going to understand. And in a way, like, it felt like a bit more of a grown-up show in that way. Like, there isn't an explanation for everything. Some stuff just happens.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go into it. We're not going to like just feed you by the spoon. Oh, and here's what happened. Like, no, we don't know.
Yeah.
We might not ever find out.
Yeah.
Tune in next week. I was like, I kind of appreciated that. So never really bugged me at all. I never got that, but maybe it's, my simple-minded fandomness for that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, that's one of the things I enjoy about the series is, there are just some things that went unexplained, but and I think there's something healthy about stories being told that way. I mean, if everything gets spelled out for you, I mean, great, you have some, confirmation and concrete, conclusions to those things. But I've always, I appreciated how that show and like Lost explored, the topic of religion and spirituality and what how that plays out for different peoples and different cultures. And so I think, the fact that they, kind of leaned on that for me, being someone who considers themselves to be, religious and spiritual. And so, in my faith system and that sort of thing, I appreciate shows like that because it wasn't commonplace. Like TV until Lost and BSG, which is ironic because they both kind of came out at roughly the same time. Shows never got into that a whole lot. like they never got into religion a whole lot or spirituality in terms of the direct impact on the story. And here with BSG, you have a culture that is polytheistic, and you have the survivors on the run, and they're just kind of surviving by the skin of their teeth, in ways that there are little miracles that keep happening that allow them to move through the universe, and they don't know where they're going. They're trying to find somewhere to, resettle, but they don't know that they're going to find it, and like one episode, I don't remember the name of it, but one episode that always stands out to me is the one where they have to traverse this high radiation sort of area where,
yes,
where they have to jump in, and they have to have raptors that kind of guide them, and then they jump out. And, that episode for me, like if you take the spirituality of what plays out in BSG, if you take that out of the equation, that episode to me falls a little more flat, because it's one of those things that's an event that should have wiped them all out. And we do see, like we see Kat, I believe, isn't that the episode where Kat dies? Is that
yeah, because
Kat?
she trades her radiation badge
Right.
with someone else to continue. It's
To
like
continue.
and she's doing it in a way of paying penance,
Right.
atoning for what she has done and the things and who she was.
Right. And they lose a couple ships. There are some
Mhm.
ships that get lost because their navigation doesn't work. They have to rely on the raptors to kind of guide them a little bit, and there's some accidents. So it gives you a sense of the stakes, and the fact that this is not a foregone, like, even though we know that in some way, shape, or form, this troop of survivors is going to have to end up somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how they're going to get there and in what numbers they're going to get there. And
Yeah.
so that's where I feel like it made sense to bring some of those elements in, that, for those that believe in a higher power, and for those that don't, like if there is that, whatever that higher power is that you believe in, that something is guiding this to a greater end, that humanity is kind of cared for in a way, by a larger power. I think is a really interesting theme that they explore, and to bring, Kara back as one part of that plan, was I think a really well done, move, and I think plays very well into the spirituality of the show.
Yeah. By the way, that episode was called The Passage. It was episode 10 of season 3.
Yes.
And I think I think that I like the way you're putting it, because it really was. It wasn't just that religion was part of the show.
Right.
It was like explored and delved into, and it was really one of the driving forces in the show. And it was like, you don't get that, because honestly, I mean, it's a hot button topic. And this is, again, where sci-fi comes in, and it allows you to talk about things that, even though you're kind of talking about what's going on in the world right now, but because it's set in sci-fi and it's in, the future, the past, and, it's out in space, it's okay to talk about it and to explore this topic, even though it's like, you're kind of just talking about things as they are right now. And it's sort of in the way that, like, the TV show MASH could talk about Vietnam by being set in Korea, because Korea was far enough away. And even though Vietnam was still ongoing at the time that, MASH began as a show, they could talk about the Vietnam War in kind of like this abstract way by using Korea as the setting, even though they're talking kind of about themes that are very much in the now, but because, it was set 15 years ago or whatever, that's okay. It gives that license, which is one of the great assets of sci-fi, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. All right. Well, anything else on Starbuck and what form she took, or what the heck she was, kind of toward the end of the series?
No, don't need to know.
Don't need to know at all.
Don't need to know. It was a great story.
It was.
And that's just the way it ended. And sometimes stories just don't quite end the way you think they're going to end, and that's okay.
Yes.
Because if every story ended exactly the way that you wanted it to end, it'd be really fracking boring.
Yeah. Yep. What do you want for nothing? Rubber biscuit? That, my friends, is a slightly disorganized Week in Geek.
It's
and I was
all
slightly
good, sir.
disorganized.
That's all right. Just have another sip and it'll be fine. And now, sir, what do you got for a suggestion for our listeners / viewers in another thing?
My suggestion. No, I'm sorry. I'll stop with the Christopher Walken. All right. Although I
Took
think
a
I
whole
sounded
show
more
like
like
that.
Bill Brasky on that one. Bill Brasky
A little bit.
Is Severance season 2 on Apple TV Plus.
I have not watched one episode of this, and it's one of those things I keep meaning to engage with, and I have
Dude,
not.
you will your mind will be.
And the thing is, I like that idea of like my mind getting just completely ambushed by something like this. And I also dig Adam Scott. Like I think he's just hilariously awkward and weird.
It is
just as
such
a person.
It is such a odd show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a show that I don't want to use the word disturbing because I don't want thoughts and ideas of violent horror, which is what I sometimes think of when someone tells me a piece of content is disturbing. I think there's like something violent or really bad about it. This show, which by the way is executive produced by Ben Stiller of all people.
Really?
Ben Stiller either directs it or produces it. No, I think he produces it because I think they have different directors. But this show has a way of keeping you kind of off balance and just feeling uncomfortable through it. Like something doesn't feel right through it.
Yeah.
And the main concept behind it is that there's this corporation that has introduced this idea of severing, where basically they have a technology that allows individuals who work for that corporation to basically have two distinct personalities. One that switches on when they're in the building and they clock in for work, and one when they leave, and the two don't know about one another. So it's like it's almost like two different people.
That is creepy as hell.
And there are things that happen like there's a direction to the story, and the characters are even the characters are just so different and odd, and you're just like that's that uneasiness that comes with that is also the charm of the show. That's I can't explain it, but it's part of it. And even like the intro, like animations they use to kind of intro the show with the song is just so well done, because it does speak to this sort of really odd nature of what's going on with the people who are severed. And so I would just highly recommend it. We're about halfway through season 2. Season 2 is fully aired, so we're just a bit behind. But it took us a little bit to get back into it. It was about a 3-year break between season 1 and it's been a while.
That long?
Yeah. Like I actually forgot some of what happened.
First season must have been like almost like right at the beginning of COVID.
It was, and then I think the writer's strike, and I think there were just some circumstances that yeah. But I would definitely check it out. Adam Scott is the lead, and we also have. Let me just look up the cast real quick while I have the floor.
You could have the ceiling too.
Adam Scott, Patricia Arquette is in it. She plays a wackadoodle, which she plays very well. John Turturro, and might I add, my good friend Christopher Walken is also in it.
Of course he is.
Of course he is.
Of course he is.
So I would just recommend this. Do check out Severance season 2, and if you have not seen it at all, start, of course, with season 1 and work your way through. It is chef's kiss. What is your end another thing, sir?
My end another thing is something I was listening to today while I was at HQ. Branford Marsalis Quartet's new album "Belonging," which is interesting in that it is, oftentimes artists will cover a song or two. This is essentially covering an entire album. Album was originally released by Keith Jarrett, the acclaimed jazz pianist, and covering this album in its entirety. And I think it's been the album is like 50 years old at this point. And it's really well done. And I do love the fact that this really feels like a it feels like a live recording, because there's times that you can feel like stuff has been tracked, or even if it's been recorded and there's a lot of separation. This really feels like it was recorded all in a room together. Like there's a presence to the music that I really dig. Branford Marsalis Quartet, of course, is Branford Marsalis on saxophones, Joey Calderazzo on piano, Eric Rivas on bass, Justin Faulkner on drums. And man, these dudes are tight. I mean, I've had the pleasure of hearing and seeing Branford Marsalis twice live in very different settings. And the dude is just a freaking a monster player. And here it's like, it's one of those deals where even though it is the Branford Marsalis Quartet, it very much feels like a group, not like this one dude and his supporting band. Like it actually feels like it is a coherent group instead of like one featured guy and some other supporting musicians. So yeah, I definitely recommend folks to go and give that a listen on the platform of their choice. I'm linking to the page on Branford's website so you can read a bit more about it and choose your platform if you will.
If you will.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for the Week in Geek for the week of April. Well, what is this? April 3rd when this is released.
April Fools!
April 2nd. I'm sorry, April 2nd, because we're recording this on Tuesday. So, yeah, thank you for joining us here. That is all we got here. You can find this, of course, on our normal channel under Free Range Idiocy. So you can go to freerangeidiocy.com where you can subscribe and find all our episodes there on the Podbean app as well as the website. You can also find us on all the major podcast purveyors, Apple Podcasts. I almost said Google, not anymore. Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, all of those. Just go and search for Free Range Idiocy. We're also on the YouTubes. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. YouTube has full video episodes. You can subscribe to our channel there. That would be lovely. Spotify also has video, apparently. If you have any thoughts, concerns, or questions, send those to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com. And that is it, folks. We're going to take this sucker OUT outie. Sir, you want to take us out here? Take us home, if you will?
If you will. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the listenership. And as we like to close things out here for this segment of the Week in Geek.
Yeah.
Always fly that geek flag. Do not be ashamed. And please, because the bills are high and we want to, keep the costs low, would you please hit the lights on the way out?
He's the red.
Now get the hell out of here!